Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Yomi. Kesubos Daf Zayin. We are holding on the second line from the top of the Amud. In the last few days we discussed an interesting question. Mahu livoil besula betchila b'Shabbos. That first interaction, that physical interaction with a besula, which removes the besula membrane, is that mutter on Shabbos or not? What is the concern? We discussed many possible concerns. Malacha of chabura, malacha of boina. There were mitigating factors on both concerns. Perhaps it's mekalkel, it's considered destroying and downgrading. Perhaps it's called einay miskaven. So what is the halacha? Says the Gemara, Rabbi Ami Shara. Rabbi Ami himself allowed. He issued a heter lemival betchila b'Shabbos to interact with a besula for the first time, even though it was Shabbos. He did not consider that a concern. Amrele Rabbanan, the Rabbanan responded to him, okay, you've addressed the malacha issue. We have another concern. What about the ksuba? It's Shabbos. We can't write up a ksuba document, which is a necessary component in the process of marriage. Her ksuba has not yet been composed. Amar lahu, he responds, there's a way around that as well. Atfasua, give her metaltlan, give her some items of value in lieu of the ksuba, and this provides her that assurance, that security, that in fact her husband will live up to his ksuba obligations, which is a vital component in the marriage arrangement, marriage commitment. It denotes commitment, responsibility, achrayus. And that's enough for the time being until you get the shtar ksuba written up after Shabbos. Interesting, I was actually witness to a similar shaila. We had a wedding and there was a question regarding the ksuba, so the Rav said, this is the eitzah. Take an item of value. He mentioned the kala's ring, which can be used as a collateral. You take that and you actually give it to the chasna as a present. And then he returns it to the kala atvesuh metaltalin. He gives it to her as a collateral for his ksuba commitment, and that's a temporary solution until you actually write up the ksuba document. Continues the Gemara. Rav Zvid Shara. Rav Zvid himself allowed somebody lemival betchila b'Shabbos to proceed and be boil on Shabbos. Ikad Amri. There was another version that it was Rav Zvid's own personal shaila. Rav Zvid Gufei, he himself boal betchila b'Shabbos. He was involved for the first time on Shabbos. Rabbi Yehuda Shara lemival betchila b'Yom Tov. He allowed it on Yom Tov. Amra Papi Mishmei de Rava. Loitema, don't think it was a specific Yom Tov allowance. Loitema b'Yom Tov Deshari, for whatever reason, perhaps it's called like Eichel Nef, whatever, we'll see soon. Don't think it was a special heter for Yom Tov. Ha b'Shabbos Asur, but would it have been on Shabbos, where there's an Isra Malacha, it would not have been mutter. That's incorrect. Dehu adin dafilu b'Shabbos nameshari, it would be mutter even on Shabbos. So why did he mention Yom Tov? Umas hashahaya, the incident that actually took place, that he was referring to, kachaya, it took place on Yom Tov. But theoretically, the same heter would apply to Shabbos. Who's speaking? Rav Papi, in the name of Rava. Rav Papa, Mishmei de Rava Amar, he had a different opinion. B'Yom Tov Shari, this heter was specific to Yom Tov. But b'Shabbos Asur, would it have been on Shabbos? It would have been Asur. So what's the difference? Amar li Rav Papi, li Rav Papa. So Rav Papa asks him, what's the difference? My daitach, what's your opinion here? Why would Yom Tov be any less of a concern than Shabbos? Oh, because we know that a malacha is mutar on Yom Tov, provided it is for the sake of food preparation, oichal nefesh. Now, although being boyele besula on Shabbos, on Yom Tov, is not food preparation, but there is a svara called mitoich shehutra, Chabur letzorech, since. Mitech means since. Since generating a wound. Letzorech eichel nefesh. For instance, doing shchita on an animal in order to prepare food for Yom Tov. That is certainly mutter. So once that action, once that ma'as, that activity of shchita, which is a form of making chabura, making a wound, has been labeled, has been tagged as an activity which is food related, it can be used, it can be applied even if it's not specifically for the sake of food preparation, because it is classified as a permissible activity. And this is a whole sugya in Maseches Beya. This is actually Shitas Beis Hillel. You say mitoich. Theoretically, only a malach for the sake of Eichel Nefesh is mutter, but once this specific masa, like shchita, like chabura, serves the purpose of Eichel Nefesh, it now becomes mutter for any purpose on Yom Tov. And that perhaps is your rationale for being mater, being boyle besula on Yom Tov, because the concept of being boyle, of making a chabura, relates to Eichel Nefesh as well, in the form of shchita, sort of an animal. So that's mutter in all contexts, in all settings. Is that what you mean? So it's a heter dafka for Yom Tov and not for Shabbos, right? If that's so, I have a kash on you. Elamiyata. That being the case, that you say mitoich, you extend the heter to other settings as well. Mutter lasos mugmar b'Yom Tov. According to you, one can take mugmar, that's when they would burn incense and place begadim, things on top of it to impart that scent, to absorb the reyach, the bisreyach of besamim into the beged. Can you do that on Yom Tov? Mutter lasos mugmar b'Yom Tov. Why would you? According to you, it's mutter. The mitoich. Apply the formula of mitoich. Mitoich shehutru have ora. Since burning a fire is mutter litzorech. Litzorech meaning litzorech erichal nefesh, for cooking purposes. Hutru namishalei litzorech. It would be mutter. It would be permissible even if it's not specifically for food preparation, rather for the mugmar activity. Why? Because according to your way of thinking, once an activity has been labeled and classified and determined and considered a food-related activity, it can be used in all contexts, in all settings on Yom Tov. And we know that's not so. The Gemara in Beitza says, clearly, you cannot do this on Yom Tov. Amarle, he responds, there's a difference. Even mitoich has its limitations. It has to be serving an activity, a purpose, an objective which is appreciated by all, which is relevant to all people equally. Amarle alecha, to counter your argument, to address your concern, that's why the Torah says the words ach asher ya'achel l'chol nefesh. Malachis hamutar on Yom Tov if it is l'chol nefesh. Davar ha'shava l'chol nefesh. If it serves all people equally, something which is appreciated, which is relevant to all individuals, such as shchita of an animal, such as the be'ilah of the isha, which is a universal concept, as opposed to mugmar. Rashi says, "Einoi elo limifunakim." It's meant for, high class, finicky people. It's not something what's even appreciated by your regular layman. So there is no heter to do that on Yom Tov. If so, if it has to be something relevant to all, I have a kasha. If so. Let's say he encounters a deer, which is really a delicacy. He has this on Yom Tov. Is shchita permitted? Since it's not something relevant to all people, you're going to suppose that shchita would be asr? That sounds surprising. One animal can be shechted, the other animal not. Well, according to you, a tzvi, a deer, cannot be shechted on Yom Tov. It's not relevant to all people. It's not appreciated by all. It's not accessible to all people. So he responds, no. No. Davar hatzorech l'chol nefesh ka'amina. I meant that it has to be something which is appreciated by all, something which is relevant to all. Tzvi tzorech l'chol nefeshu. A deer is appreciated by all. Not everybody has access to it. Not everybody can afford it. But that's just a practical, limitation. It's not a conceptual limitation. So shchita is mutter, irrelevant of what animal. Likewise, the be'ilah of the isha is relevant to all, as opposed to mugmar, which is not even appreciated by all people. Therefore, it does not constitute davar hashav l'chol nefesh. Amar Rabbi Akibariti. He tells us that Hira Rabbi Yechanan b'Tzaidan. Rabbi Yechanan in the town of Tzaidan, he instructed, he paskened, he ruled that asur livoil b'tchila b'Shabbos. In contrast to Rabbi Ami, who allowed, he said it's asur. Umi ika hayra le'isur? Asks the Gemara on the lashon, the semantics. Hayra, he ruled, he paskened le'isur. The lashon hayra typically indicates something of a chiddush, something which requires authority, confidence, clarity, right? And that's typically referring to a heter. Let's take a look at Rashi, around halfway down the Amud. Umi kahayra isur, says Rashi. Umi kari isur hayra. Why would you call an isur and refer to it with the word hayra? Anybody could just say, oh, it's asur, it's asur. It's not a big deal. And one that issues an isur, it's not something which requires authority. Shafilu min asafik. Even when you're not sure, you could say it's asur. It's not a big deal to make something asur. Afilu min asafik she'ein halacha brura loy. If it's not clear, hu bava asur. That's the default position. It's asur until proven otherwise. That's not called hayra'a. Aval matter, as opposed to one who exudes confidence and he's matter something. Soymech al shmu asay, ay al svaras chachmosa v'yera. That requires knowledge, expertise. That's called hayra. So why does he use the lashon hayra by isur? Umika hayra le isur, asks the Gemara. Actually, we do find hayra by isur as well. But Tanan will have two rayas. We have a Mishnah in Nazir. So the Mishnah there says that typically we don't do nezirus. One doesn't commit himself to be a Nazir in Chutz La'aretz. And there was a story with Hilni Amalka, whose son went out to war. She made a neder. If he returns safely, I will be a Nazir for 7 years. And she completed the Nazirus of 7 years outside of Eretz Yisrael, and then she came up to Eretz Yisrael. Beis Hillel shetei Nazira oid sheva shana macheres. Beis Hillel maintained you have to redo the entire Nazirus experience. So they pasken, they ruled, Heirua, right, that she has to be a Nazir for another 7 years. And Beis Hillel disagree. Okay, that's the Mishnah there. Apparently, you can use the lashon hayra'a even for isur v'nami. Another example, Kihad Sanya, we have a Mishnah Braisa regarding the halacha of treifa by an animal, chutash shedra, the spinal cord of an animal, shenifsak b'rubai, which got snapped, mostly snapped. That constitutes a critical internal wound, which makes it asur ba'achila. You need roiv. Divei Rabbi Akiv Omer, afilu nikav, even just a puncture generates a treifa. Hoira Rabbi Yaakov. So Rabbi Lamaisa paskin like Rabbi Yaakov, he was machmer. Even a nekev is sufficient to be considered a treifa. So we see the lashon hoira by Yisra. Once we're on this topic, Amar Rav Huna, ein alach Rabbi Yaakov. We don't pass like Rabbi Yaakov. We're not machmer. In any case, we find the lashon hoira by Yisra. That's all we went to prove, and we proved it. Now, a minute ago we spoke about the question of being boil a besula betchila b'Shabbos, and Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi quoted Rabbi Yechanan, who paskened in the town of Tzaidan, that it's asur. Now here comes a slightly different version of that psak. The same result, just a different version. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Masni Hachi, he presented as follows. It was Rabbi Vo, Amar Rabbi Vo, who said like this: Shal Rabbi Shmuel ben Yaakov, the Minsur. Rabbi Shmuel ben Yaakov from the town of Tzur asked Rabbi Yechanan, who was then Bit Sidon, Va'ano Shami, and I myself overheard. This is Rabbi Avo speaking. What was the question? Ma'u livoy b'tchila b'Shabbos. Is it mutter on Shabbos? V'amrlei aser. He said it's aser, but the Gemara concludes that it's mutter, and that's how we paskin halacha Shulchan Aruch b'Hilchos. So mutter livoy b'tchila b'Shabbos. One may have physical interaction with a b'sula for the first time on Shabbos for a number of reasons, because it's not really a malacha, it's only mekalkel, it's not mischaven, etc., etc., for all the reasons we discussed in the past couple of days. So bottom line is, regarding this shaila of being boile b'sula b'tchila b'Shabbos, we have opinions from minakotza lakotza, from one side of the spectrum to the other, either totally aser, totally mutter. Shabbos is aser, Yom Tov is mutter. Halacha is, it's totally mutter. Okay, now we're going to proceed to Sheva Brachas. Amar Bechelboy, Amar of Huna, Amar of Abba Bar Zavda Amarav. Achas Besula, whether he marries a Besula, Vachas Almana, or somebody previously married, who had been previously married, to Una Bracha, we're meant to recite the Brachas, the 6 Brachas. We call it Sheva Brachas because we add the Hagafen as well. So Bracha is a necessary component in all marriages. Asks the Gemara, really? Even in Almana? Umi Amar Rav Huna Hachi. Did Rav Huna really tell us? So, Va'amar Rav Huna Almana, Eino Tuna Bracha. There is no Bracha by an Almana. Like Kasha, the answer is, well, it depends who married her. Habib Bachar, if he has been previously unmarried, Shenasa Almana, even though he married an Almana, then we have the Sheva Brachas. Kan Be'alman, Shenasa Almana, but if both sides have previous experience, he's an alman, a widower, she's an almana, then there is no brachas. Really? V'alman shenasa almana loy, there is no brachas then. V'amar of Nachman, Amar li Huna bar Nasan. Huna bar Nasan tells me, Tana, we learned to the Brisa, how do we know that we have a minyan by Sheva Brachas? Menayin lebirchas chasanim ba'asara. How do we know we need 10 people by birchas chasanim? Shenamar, the pasuk in Rus, vayikach asara anoshim, miziknei ir. So Boaz collected 10 fellows, miziknei ir, the 10 of the dayanim. Vayomer, he tells them, shvu poi, have a seat. Vayeshu, and the purpose was for Sheva Brachas, as we're going to see on Amud Beis. And who are the parties involved? Boaz, he was an alman, and who was he marrying? Shana Salmana. Right? Rashi says he was previously married. He already had 30 sons, 30 daughters. And who was he marrying? He was marrying Rus, an almana. Alman Shana Salmana Hava. So why are they involved in brachas? Answers the Gemara, Mai eina tu'una bracha. The Amar Rav Huna, all the Rav Huna tells us there's no bracha. There's no brachas chasanim. There's no sheva brachas by the alman and the almana. He didn't mean at all. Eina tu'una bracha kol zayin. It doesn't go on for 7 days. Aval yom echad, but the first day, the day of marriage itself, of course, tu'una bracha, we have sheva brachas. Elohada sanya. If so, that by the bacher it's a 7-day affair, and by the almoin it's just a 1-day affair, what about the following brayse? Elohada sanya, a brayse that we're all familiar with. Shagdu chachamim al takanas bnei Yisrael. Chachamim were diligent and looked after the bnei Yisrael, and they ensured that the wedding is arranged in a manner sheish sameach imo gimel yamim, that there is 3 days of celebration to get the marriage on the right foot, on right footing. 3 days. How do you get 3 days? B'mai, what are we speaking about? Iba bacher, is he a bacher? Never before married. Ha'amras shiva, he needs 7 days, not 3 days. Iba alman, if he was previously married. Ha'amras yemechad, you're telling me it's only 1 day. So when is it 3? Answers the Gemara 2 terutza. Iba yisem, you can say ba'alman, he's an alman. So yoy mechad lebracha, as we said, it's only 1 day of sheva brachas. But simcha is for her sake. U'shleishal simcha, you still need 3 days of simcha. He stays home from work and celebrates with her for 3 days. V'boy same another pshat. The bacher, we're speaking about a bacher who indeed has shiva lebracha, 7 full days of the sheva brachas. Ushleisha lesimcha, but regarding simcha, that only needs 3 days. And as the Mefarshim, the Rishonim point out, it's clear from the Gemara that there are 2 separate topics here. There's the brachos and there's the simcha. The brachos is on account of his excitement, his bracha to Hashem on account of this marriage, and that depends on his situation. If he's fresh, first time experience of bracha, it's a 7-day affair. 7 days of Sheva brachas. If he has previous experience, so it's only a 1-day celebration. We have brachas, Sheva brachas for 1 day. Regarding simcha, that's for her sake. As the Gemara tells us, the point is to ensure that she becomes comfortable with him, she has simcha with him, he stays home, gives her attention, and they get that marriage on the right footing. So that all depends on her status. If she's a bisula, the Rishonim say she needs more ritzoi, more appeasement, sort of break into it. So that you need 7 days. 7 days of simcha. Shivasim hamishta. But if she's an almana, in that case, she has previous experience. She doesn't need that much to break into things. 3 days of simcha is sufficient. Says the Gemara Meisve, here comes a kash. Mevarchen the besula shiva. By a besula, it's 7 days of brachas. By almana, it's only 1 day. My love, apparently. Afilu almana shenisas lebachar. Almana always has 1 day, irrespective of who she married. And you're telling me that the duration of the Sheva brachas, that depends on him. And here we see, no, an almana is always 1 day. Loi, says the Gemara, le alman. We're speaking that the almana happened to have married an alman. Aval a bachar, but if she would have married a bachar, Shiva, you're telling me it's 7 days of brachas? If that were so, listen, then the Brisa should spell it out. Mevarchen lebsula Shiva. By a besula, it's always 7 days of brachas. Ula almana, by almana, it all depends on who her husband is. Almana shenisas lebachar Shiva. She married a bachar, it's 7 days of brachas. Ula almain, but if he's an almain, yom echad, it's only 1 day. Why didn't the Brisa spell it out? Answers the Gemara, there's no raya. Milsa psikta katani, the Brisa is simply presenting a clear-cut formula. There are details and variations undiscussed, but in general, it's like this. The leka psula, the batsra mishiva. There's no psula that has less than 7 days of brachas. And by the way, the Rishonim point out from here that even if he is an almain who had previous experience, but she's a besula, so that also excites him as well, and therefore there is 7 days of brachas. So in any case, there is no besula with less than 7 days of brachas. V'leka almana, the batsra miyamechad. There's no almana that has less than 1 day. But of course, sometimes you can have an almana who has more than 1 day of brachas. For instance, if she married a bachar, will the brachas continue for 7 days? Continues the Gemara. Gufa, let's go back. Omar Rav Nachman, Omar Lihuna Bar Nosan, Tana, we learned in the Rais. Menayin lebrichas chasanan ba'asara. From where do we know that Sheva brachas takes place with a minyan? Shenemar va'ikach asara anoshem mizikna ir. This was by Boaz and Rus. He took 10 people. Vayayim shvu poi. Have a seat. We have to make Sheva brachas. V'Rabbi Yavo Amar Miyacha, he has another source. V'ma'akelos, Baruch Elokim, Hashem imkar Yisrael. You give a bracha to Hashem b'ma'akelos, in a congregation, in a gathering. And how do we know it's Sheva brachas? Hashem imkar Yisrael, imakar, the source, referring to the child-bearing ability of the Isha. So it's a marriage-related ceremony. You need a minyan for that. How do we know, by the way, that Makelos is 10? So, if you want to take a look at Rashi on the second line from the top. Makelos Baruch Elokim Hashem Kar Yisrael. So Rashi says, Al Bichars Makar, when you're blessing for the Makar of the Isha, Tzorach Kol, you need a Kol. V'hainu Asara, and that equals 10. Why? K'moy Hakel Asa Eda. So you have Hakel together with the word Eda. Ve'ein Hakel and Parachas be'Eda. Hakel and Eda go together. And how much is Eda? That's 10. Ve'eda Asara K'dialfinon Madas Meraglim. We know from the Raglim, where they are referred to as Eda, at Mosai lo Eda Hara, and although they were 12, but Eda Hara, the bad group, does not include, it's Yatsu Yeshua V'Kalav, excludes the Tzadikim Yeshua V'Kalav, so really it was only 10, and they are considered an Eda. So we see that Eda, and in turn the word Kal as well, refers to a minyan of 10 people. Continues the Gemara. For Rav Nachman, who actually learned from the other pasuk in Rus. B'hai krod Rabbi Avo my dorish pei. What does he do with the other pasuk of Makelos Borcha Lakim Hashem Im Kar Yisrael? He applies it like the Sanya Hayar of Meirim Menai and Shafilu Ubarim Shebemei Iman Amru Shiraliyam. How do we know that the fetuses, the Ibarim, who inside their mother's stomach would express Shira when the Klal Yisrael crossed the Yamsuf? Shenamar from this pasuk B'Makelos Borcha Lakim Hashem Mim Kar Yisrael. So even the Ubar who was in the Makar of the Isha took part in the Shiras Hayam. V'idach, the other Mad Amar, who used this pasuk for the Sheva Brachos, how does he know that the Uber were involved in the Az Yasher? Imkain. If it only comes to teach us the Uber's involvement in Shira Leima Krom Bet, and the pasuk would use the word Mibet, and the Uber inside the Bet. My Makar, why does the pasuk specify Makar? Al Iske Makar, a reference to source issues, meaning the childbearing abilities of the Isha, so it's a wedding-related reference. Rabbi Avo, by Kroder of Nachon, my Dorish Pei, Rabbi Avo, who learned from Makeles, what does he do with the pasuk of Ayikach Asar Anoshim, the pasuk in Rus, which discusses gathering of 10 people? What is the pasuk teaching us? Hahumi Boile, that's meant for another halach. Hahumi Boile the Midrash Amoini V'Lo Amoinis. The reason why you had 10 people gathered around him was in order to publicize that great chiddush that they discovered on that day, to teach everybody that Rus was perfectly suitable to marry into the community, although she was from Mayav. But the restriction in terms of accepting Gerim from Amoin and Mayav only applies to the males and not females. The pasuk says we cannot accept an Amoini, a male from Amoin, but not a female. Likewise, only a Mayavi is Asr. V'lo Mayavis, for instance, Rus HaMayaviyah. That's why he needed 10 people to get the Olam together to publicize this halach and to explain why he was marrying Rus. Because if it's according to your approach, according to your position that the purpose was to make Sheva Brachos in front of 10 people, would it not be enough without Zakenim? Basically what he's saying is, why did he have to specify that? Why did he have to be makpid on gathering 10 Chachamim, 10 Zakenim? He could have just had a regular minyan with ordinary people. Apparently there was more than that. He needed Zakenim in order to analyze and to confirm this halacha. What does the other shita do? Why Zakenim? If it's like you were saying that the whole point was just to be derish the halacha, why does he need 10 people? Didn't have a minyan when he learned halacha. Apparently there's more to it. Says the Gemara, no. Actually, yes. 10 people is for Summa Misla to publicize this halacha. He wanted it to become public, public knowledge, so you have to have a minyan to get it going. As we find in the following episode of Shmuel, tells Rav Chana from Baghdad, go out and gather from me 10 people. Why? This way I can teach you in their presence the following halacha which I want to get out. If one actually gives a present, gives a gift to an uber, to an unborn child, so he hands something to somebody with the intent of using that kinyan for the uber. Be zoiche for the uber, it works. He did it in front of 10 people, so that it gets publicized. So there as well by Bayaz, he looked to gather a minyan. This way, the halacha becomes known to all. On the topic of Mazaka Uber, concludes the Gemara, actually, we don't hold like this. Rather, on Mazaka Uber, it doesn't work. Loikana, you cannot grant anything to an unborn child. Okay, continuing on the topic of Sheva Brachos. Tan Rabban, Mevarchen Birchas Chasanim, all these brachos that we recite by the wedding. When do we do that? Bebeis Chasanim, in the place of the wedding, the Makom of Chuppah, at the wedding. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Afa Beis Ha'iris Mevarchen. We say them as well when they get engaged. Mevarchen Oisa. Amr Abaye, When was this? Why would they have birchas chasanim at the engagement? The whole point is to be matur the isha at the point of engagement. In any case, they're not interacting. No, ubi Yehuda shanu. It was in the area called Yehuda in Eretz Yisrael, where they had an interesting minhag. They wanted the chas and the kal to become familiar with each other. They would encourage them to be mesiachad with each other, and as Taisus explains, it can sometimes lead to further interaction, physical interaction. Therefore, they address that concern by making the bracha, the birchas chasanim, well in advance of the wedding. Tani idach, we have a brayso mevarach and birchas chasanim beis chasanim. The Sheva brachas we make at the wedding. Birchas Erusin, but there's another special bracha called Birchas Erusin, and that indeed was done by Beis Erusin. Which bracha is that? Birchas Erusin my mevarach. What exactly does that entail? Rav and Barav Ada, Virabba Barav Ada, Tarvayu, they both explained Mishmei Rabbi Yehuda. Amri, they both presented the bracha as follows: Baruch Atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam. Asher kitshanu b'mitzvos v'tzivanu al haroyos. He instructed us against interacting with forbidden women. V'asa lonas arusais. And actually, he didn't allow us to interact with an arusa. Where is the isur? So Rashi says it's of course only midrabanan. It's included in the isur yichud with an unmarried woman. So although we're calling it kitshanu b'mitzvos v'tzivanu, Rashi says v'tzivanu is an appropriate term even in reference to mitzvahs d'Rabbanan. In fact, we do it all the time by Ner Chanukah, by other mitzvahs. We say v'tzivanu. The Gemara in Shabbos tells us why, because it's all part of the Torah. Hashem tells us to listen to the Chachamim. Lo yisasur min hadavar, right? Listen to the instruction of the Chachamim. So that's the first part of the bracha. On the one hand, Hashem forbade interaction with an unmarried woman, but then v'hitir lanu as anasuais aydei chuppah v'kedushin, he allowed us to interact with a married woman by way of the chuppah v'kedushin ceremony. That's it. That's the end of the bracha without a conclusion. Rav Acha, the Rav Messiah, Mishmei Rabbi Yehuda, he contends that there's a conclusion as well. And Rabbi Yehuda dictated the following conclusion, which is Baruch Atah Hashem Mekadesh Yisrael. He sanctifies Klal Yisrael Ayidei Chuppah v'Kedushin by way of mandating marriage through this very specific and holy process called Chuppah v'Kedushin. So some would conclude, and some would leave it without a conclusion. Why? Manda lechasim, the shita that did not conclude the bracha, he held, well, it's a very simple, straightforward, rather short and single subject bracha. Midi dahava abrichas aperis, abrichas mitzvahs, just like a bracha on fruit, bayer priates. That's it. There's no conclusion. Abrichas mitzvahs, ala shchita ala mila. There's no chasima because it's just one simple theme. Here as well, it's a simple theme. There's no reason to elongate it. Umar the chasim, however, the shita that does conclude with a conclusion, because we compare it to Kiddush. Midi dehava Kiddusha, like Kiddush Friday night. Just like over there, since it's a rather complicated bracha, there are all kinds of components in the bracha, Kiyam Tchilu Mekori Kodesh, etc., etc. So just like over there, we have a Chasima, Baruch Hashem Mekadesh HaShabbos here as well. Since it's similar lashon, Rashi says it's lashon Kedusha, so we don't differentiate. And we conclude it with a Chasima. Taisus says that wouldn't be enough of a reason just because it has the same lashon as Kiddush Friday night. Rather, he says the reason is that it's a bracha arucha. It's not just a simple, straightforward, single theme bracha. It has all kinds of twists. It's even al arayis, vaslan sarusais, etc., etc. So then we have a chasima as well to wrap it up, and then we're just comparing it to Kiddush. Just like Kiddush has some twists in the bracha, and therefore you have to make a chasima. Here as well, it's considered a bracha arucha, which is concluded with a chasima. That's what we do today. Okay, let's summarize today's rather simple daf. Regarding boil a besula betchila v'Shabbos, we have several shitas: aser, totally mutter, totally aser. Yom Tov is mutter, Shabbos is aser. The maskana is hilchasa mutter livel betchila even on Shabbos. When do we have the Sheva brachas? If he is a bacher, then it goes on for 7 days. If he is an almoin marrying an almana, right? I have to point that out, marrying an almana, then it's only a 1-day affair. But if he's an almoin marrying a besula, we spoke out from the Rishonim, we do it for 7 days. Simcha, that's a whole different story. That's address her needs, to give her some initial, a companionship with her husband. So by Basula takes 7 days to develop that companionship. You need 7 days of simcha. He doesn't go to work for the first 7 days. By an almana, it's merely a 3-day event. Sheva Brachas requires a minyan. We have 2 psukim. And on top of the Sheva Brachas, we also have Birchas Erison, which incidentally we do today pretty much at the same opportunity. At the chuppah, we do the kedushin with the Birchas Erison, and then we go ahead, we read the Kesubos to make like a little bit of a break, and then we move on with the marriage, the Sheva Brachas, what we call the Birchas Chasan and the Birchas Nesuin. Regarding Birchas Erison, there's a machlekes on whether or not we make a chasima, as we actually do today. Baruch Ata Hashem, Mekadesh, Yisrael, Aidei, Chuppah v'Kedushin. We should always have simchas. Hatzlacha Rabbah.